Giving all praises, all honor, all glory to Yahweh and his son, Yahweh Shah, for the reading and understanding of his word today. This is the Shema with your bro Shi'yah, and this is my brother Gabar. All praises. Man, it feel like I ain't seen my brother in months and Sundays, man. I miss this dude, man. But that's a wonderful thing, man, when you can be away from your brother and you can miss him. Y'all can have that brotherly love, bro. Now, watch this. Today, the title of this class is called Be a Father of the Fatherless. Be a father of the fatherless, because that's our job, is to be a father to those who are fatherless, or to those who don't have the guidance, right? This past Sabbath, after we finished Sabbath class, one of our sisters, she has two twin boys. Now, the twin boys, I can't, and y'all, I'm not good with names, but I'm gonna try to get this right. The two twin boys are named Jamari and Amarian. Jamari's Hebrew name, he's changing his Hebrew name. His name in Hebrew is going to be Shimshon. So we had class this past Sabbath. We went out and taught. We did the whole thing. I get home and my wife says, "Babe, Jamari has an award ceremony that he is doing, and we need to go out and support it." So I'm like, dang, I'm just getting home. I'm like, man, my mind was just was really on sitting down, taking it off. I said, you know what? Cool. So they showed up to the house, the twins, and one of the twins, Amari and his mom, showed up, and we went to the ceremony. And this young man, we walk into this auditorium, and there's easily 1,000, probably 1,000 kids, right? 1,000 young men. They're 17 years old. And out of all these kids, this young man got first place in his award category, And I'm very proud of him. He's trying to do a clothing line for Hebrew men, women, and children. And I'm just so proud of Shimshon. And I think it's very important for us to start to support our people, okay? Very important for us to support the young people doing the things that they need to do. It does take labor. It does take extra effort. It does take, when you're tired, to still do. I want to talk about that. I also want to give a shout out to my stepson. His name is Jeremiah. Me and him got off to a rocky start. He came home, and now both of my stepson and my son are living. They're there at the house with me, and both of them names is Jeremiah, ironically enough, right? We had a wonderful dinner. We all are getting closer, getting to know each other. And this class is dedicated to Jeremiah, Shimshon, Amarion, and all of the other young people who need that extra in their life, okay? And we're going to start that because Paul teaches us. And I wrote an anecdote. I'm sorry if I'm babbling on today because it's a lot. I'm going to read my anecdote and we're going to get into this class. And what I wrote was this. And this is what I wrote when the Father put it on my mind. It says, pride is the cause of us often not reaching our full potential with people. Paul teaches us how to deal with all types of people, Often pride stops us from mending broken relationships. Paul teaches us to be all things to all men. In the spirit of that, we're going to start. You had anything you wanted to add?
No.
What did you think? The young men that did that, they really needed that, and they came here. They was here, and they watch us, and they really, I mean, we don't think anything of what we do. I think we give all glory to the Father, none for ourselves. But people are looking at us. People really think this thing is bigger than what we think it is. And I just want to give homage to that. That's crazy. You know, when we showed up, the other son was like, When he seen us, he was just like, it was the best thing since sliced bread for him, and that made my heart just, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, praise.
It was just something to be said.
Oh, praise.
I want you to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 19. And when you get there, I want you to bring that out.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 19. For though I be free from all men,
I be what?
Free from all men.
Read on.
Yet have I made myself servant unto all.
We got to be servants to all. Go ahead.
That I might gain the more.
So we got to be servants to all that we might gain the more. We cannot be prideful. You cannot get beside yourself. We can't even be too tired. We're going to labor in this truth. That's why it's called laboring. Go ahead.
Go ahead. That I might gain the more. And unto the Jews I became a Jew, that I might gain the Jews. To them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law.
This is being all things to all people. Paul is talking here, and he's talking about to the Jews. I'm gonna do what I need to do with them, but he's also talking about the other people who are not Jew, the other kingdom that is not with the customs and with everything, and they don't know how to do everything perfectly. These people, or these young people, they can't do everything perfectly. But guess who got to be an example to them? Guess who got to be the example? Right? Go ahead.
To them that are without law, as without law.
As without what?
Without law.
Those who don't know any better, we have to be something to them, an example to them, a father to the fatherless. Go ahead.
Being not without law to God, but under the law of Christ.
The law of who?
Of Christ.
Because we know that Christ he's teaching us because he would do these things. Go ahead.
That I might gain them that are without law.
That we may gain them that are what?
Without law.
Because see, this is why we do these things, to gain these people, to be that example to our young people. Go ahead.
Verse 22. To the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. I am made all things to all men.
Wait, I made what?
I am made all things to all men.
Go ahead.
That I might be all mean, that I might by all means save some.
Did you hear what he said? He said to the weak, I'm gonna be the weak. He's basically talking about conforming to every type of person that don't understand certain things. They don't understand. To give you an example, when I first started this journey on learning people, on doing these things, I didn't know exactly how to do everything. I didn't know exactly how to be a weak for the weak, or strong for. I didn't know. I made mistakes, but guess what? I started to do better. I started learning. This brother right here can attest to some of the mistakes I've made, right? Some of the missteps I've made. But guess what? I'm learning to conform to that. As we do these lessons, we're supposed to be growing in this too. These things are not just for the people that are listening, it's for the people also that are teaching, right? Go ahead.
How far am I reading down?
Oh, to 27.
Okay, all praise. Verse 23. As this I do for the gospel's sake.
For who?
For the gospel's sake.
For my sake.
For the gospel's sake.
Read.
That I might be partakers thereof with you.
See, that's why we do it, for the gospel's sake. So we're reading these things or learning these things for the gospel's sake, not for our own glory. Read.
Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receive the prize. So run that ye may obtain.
So watch this. They didn't run it. So you don't know. See, you didn't know you was in a race. You didn't know it was a race. You didn't know that we're running a race. We're trying to get this thing right as soon as we can, right? That we might obtain. Go ahead.
And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things.
Is what?
Temperate in all things.
We learn how to control our temper, control our outbursts, control ourselves, master our spirits. We're temperate, meaning learning how to master all things, be that reading, writing, arithmetic, attitude, right? Dealing with people, talking with people, learning people, sociology. We're learning, right? Go ahead.
Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown.
To what?
To obtain a corruptible crown.
Because in the world, because when you have a job, you learning things on your job to obtain a corruptible crown or obtain income. You're trying to obtain things of the world, right? But go ahead, read on.
But we an incorruptible.
But we are what?
and incorruptible.
So we're trying to obtain an incorruptible crown, meaning we're trying to please the Father. We're trying to do the things that are needful for our salvation by pleasing the Father. Go ahead.
If therefore so run, not as uncertainty, so fight, not as one that beateth the air.
Wait. He said run and he said fight. When this running and this fighting is learning. This running and this fighting is coming to perfection, coming to something that we're supposed to. I mentioned my stepson, and it wasn't perfect. Things between us wasn't perfect in the beginning, but guess what? We're striving to get there. I'm learning things too. I told my wife last night, I said, when we first got together, I said, I didn't bring the tools necessary for that job because I didn't know I needed the tools, right? But later on, I obtained the tools. I started learning. started to get the tools. My wife told me, she said, at the beginning, she said, I didn't think he was capable. I didn't think he was capable of changing, of even dealing with the situation correctly. She said, but now, she said, I was wrong. Why? Because I'm gaining the tools. I'm learning. It takes humility. It takes a lot of paying attention, right? It takes focus to get these tools, right? That's why we have to do this. That's why it's important. Read the next verse.
Verse 27. But I keep under my body.
Under my what?
Under my body.
Watch this.
And bring it into subjection.
And bring it what?
Into subjection.
So you got to bring it into subjection. Read.
Lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be cast away.
Did you hear that? Read that again.
When I have preached to others, I myself should be cast away.
See, if you teaching and preaching, you're supposed to be getting something out of it. This is Paul saying he's getting something out of what he's saying to others. He has to contort and has to change. He has to become that person to be that example. If Paul had to do this, now these are Paul's writing, are they not? Okay, if Paul had to do that, what makes you think we can't? That we're not supposed to do that? We're supposed to do the same things. A lot of these teachers are not learning the things that are written in this book. We're supposed to read, study, and apply. And he said, read that last again. Read 27 again. That was too. I don't think they heard that.
1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27. But I keep under my body and bring it unto subjection.
I'm bringing my body and myself into subjection. Read.
Lest that by any means, when I have preached to others,
I have what?
Preached to others.
Go ahead.
I myself should be a castaway.
What?
That's heavy.
That's heavy. That's it. But see, it's one thing to hear it and we sit here and read it. It's another thing to read it and then apply it to your own life. Those are two separate different things. And we have to start applying these things to our own life, right? And the only way you're going to be a father to the fatherless or a father of the fatherless or for people or help to people that need you is that you get these words. You have to get these words. Go to James chapter 1 and verse 25.
Let me get some.
Did you got some?
Yeah. Go back to verse. Where is we at?
It's meat all up in that.
It is.
It's meat, steak, and potatoes all in there, man. I'm telling you.
So let's go to 10 and stay in 1 Corinthians. Go to chapter 10. Let's go to verse 33.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 33. It says, even as I please all men in all things, not seeking mine own profit, but the profit of many.
Read.
That they may be saved.
So, wow. When you're going into what my brother's going into, go back to chapter 9 and you can go to verse 19. It says, for though I be free from all men.
Yep.
Right? I made myself servant unto all that I might gain the more. Right? Go to verse 22. He says, to the weak I became as weak, that I might gain the weak. I am made all things to all men, that I might by all means, this is the key thing, that I by all means, I will save some, because you're not going to save everyone.
You're not.
And so the thing is when I go back home, I'm from Los Angeles, and when I go back home, My friends who have college degrees and so on and so forth, I don't have a college degree. But when I go back home, I did go to school though. I talk to them with a certain elegance, a certain intelligence. When I'm around the homies who, you know, they out there cripping, right? And I talk to them, my vernacular a little different. I'm gonna talk a little bit different, right? When I'm around my friends who hoop, you know, I use different analogies in my and how I'm talking. It's a little bit different.
That's right.
What it is saying is us as these teachers, we need to be relatable.
That's right.
I need to be able to talk to the drunk dude. I don't have to be drunk to talk to him.
Right.
But I should be able to get to find that common road and be able to be relate to him.
Meet him where he at.
When my brother went to go support those young people, understand that we ourselves at one time were young. That's and right. We wanted the support. I don't know anyone who played a sport who didn't want their mother or father or I remember being a teenager. My friends would ask their girlfriends to come to games and stuff like that. You want the support, whether they're interested in the game or not. That ain't even what you tripping on.
Yeah, that's not. But
relevant. It's just you just being there. I know a young woman right now. She's struggling with a lot of things, and I've been knowing her for a few years. And the things that she's struggling with, I've been saying it. And the thing that she struggles with the most, and I've been telling her this. I've been kind of trying to relay it to her father as well. But a lot of the problems that they have is because dad is not there. Dad is not showing the support. Dad is not showing the love. Sometimes it's not about you doing a pat on the back. Sometimes just the biggest part of being a father to the fatherless is just being there.
Yes.
Just being there. Yes. Because you just being there, now they say, you know what? I got a problem with this, or I'm dealing with something. I'm going to ask him. He always there for me.
That's right.
Right? So this is what it is saying, that just us being there, us being relatable, us being someone that people can look at and say, okay, I know him. He a regular brother. I can go chop it up with him. Maybe he got some direction or guidance for me. For the young people to look at us and say, you know what? They always up there. They always teaching. And if I call on them, they're there. Right? So we have to then what? Go back to 10 and 33.
10 and 33.
Read that.
Verse 33. It says, even as I please all men.
So we everybody like to hear a good word. Yeah, sure. That's great. Read.
In all things, not seeking mine own profit.
So when we give it, it don't have nothing. Listen, all praise to the Most High and none for myself. Right?
Right.
Read.
But
now, anytime you say but, you're negating everything that you just previously said. Read.
But the profit of many.
But when we give this word, although it's not for me. It's not for the praise of me.
That's right.
That little bit is going to profit many people, right? That's the intention.
That's right.
Read.
That they may, be saved.
So, and that's the goal, that we going to get some of them.
That's right.
Maybe we're not going to get all of them, but we're going to get some of them.
We're going to get some though.
And the thing is that some that we get, if we're being fathers to the fatherless, we just got to show up.
Yep.
Let's just be there.
Yep.
Let's be somebody that they can look at. Let's be somebody that they can look to. Be somebody they can ask. Maybe you don't have to answer, but the fact that you're there is going to mean more. You being there means more than it almost means just as much or more than you actually giving the answer. Just you being there.
Yep.
Go ahead. That's all.
And man, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I've been texting back and forth with Shimshon and Amarion since that was just Saturday. Okay, we've been texting back and forth, and you can tell just being there, showing up, it was the world to them. These 17-year-old young men developing, it was the world to them. It meant everything to them, right? And that right there is teaching me something. They don't understand. They teaching me more probably than what I'm teaching them, because I'm trying to grow in wisdom and understanding myself. And I want to say something, man. My stepson left the house. We had a good dinner last night. I fixed it. I'm not trying to brag or nothing, but I fixed a wonderful pasta dinner with this chicken. It was smashing, right? My stepson, he walked out. He was getting ready to leave, and my wife was telling him something, and I was like, "Be careful, drive safe." He said, "I got you." And he told his mom. He always tell his mom he love you. But then when he went to the door, and I heard this, and I want him to know, I caught this. He said, "I love y'all." And I looked. I looked. I said, "Love you too." And I was like, "Damn." That little bit of time that we spent, we played Uno. We watched TV a little bit, and man, that little bit of time meant the world to my stepson and my son, and even my wife. But these things are so important for us to start building the nation. Little things that y'all think are nothing mean the world to somebody that you ain't even thinking about. And that's something that we have to realize. And it kind of had me choked up. And I looked over at my wife. I said, did you hear that? She said, "No, I heard." She said, "No, I caught it too." I'm like, damn. It means, see, y'all don't understand how these things can change you. And I'm talking to you men who are in charge of y'all families. These things could change us as a nation if we just listen to the Father, listen to the teachings of Christ, and do these things, apply these things. Y'all just don't know how powerful it is, man. I'm trying not to be a crybaby. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. I'm trying not to be a crybaby. I don't want to cry in front of my brother. Go to James chapter 1 and verse 25.
This is the book of James, chapter 1, verse 25.
Now watch this. Go
But
ahead.
whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer.
Being not a forgetful what?
Being not a forgetful
See, when
hearer.
we do these things, we cannot be a forgetful hearer. When we hear it, we got to apply it. Go ahead.
But a doer of the work.
But a what?
Doer of the work.
He said a doer of the work. The things we talking about, even the conversations I'm telling you I'm having with these young people, that's being a doer of the work. That's doing the work that he's talking about. I think we think that it's other things. No, this is the work. Go ahead.
This man shall be blessed in his deed.
He gonna be what?
In his deed.
If you humble yourself and you start listening and you start showing up, you will be blessed in your deeds. Read on.
If any man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue.
If somebody call themselves an Israelite and saying that they religious and saying they got this truth and saying that they're teaching and don't know when to speak and when not to speak, when to hold it, when not to hold it, talking about your mouth, right? Talking about your feelings. And he said, and he bridleth not his tongue. Read.
But deceive his own heart.
But what?
Deceive his own heart.
So you deceiving yourself when pride takes over. Because remember, when we're doing these things, pride can take over at any time. At any time when you least expect it. That's why it's important to stay humble. That's how you get more understanding. You get further in life. Go ahead.
This man's religion is vain.
Your religion is vain. When you don't take the advice that you read to other people, when you're teaching these lessons and you don't take the learning that you're teaching other people how to be, that's being a Pharisee. The Pharisees taught well too, but they didn't take their own advice. That's called a hypocrite. Read on.
Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this.
Wait a minute. So now he's going to tell you what pure religion and being undefiled before the Father and the Son, he's going to tell you what it is. This is how you do these things. Read.
To visit the fatherless.
To what?
To visit the fatherless.
He said to visit the fatherless, meaning engage in conversations, talk to them, have understandings with them, start to relate with them. Just like Paul said in chapter 9 of 1 Corinthians, in chapter 10, like my brother said, start to be all things to all men. That's how you do that. Read.
To visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction.
In their what?
Affliction.
In their problems. While they're going through something. While things are not working out perfectly for them, you're visiting them in that. I got a better way to describe this precept. While life is lifing. When life is lifing, that's when you visit them in their affliction. Go ahead.
And to keep unspotted from the world.
To keep yourself unspotted from the world. This is how you do that. Because remember, our goal is to be what? Blameless. That's the goal. That's the goal. We're trying to be blameless. Now, is anybody ever really just blameless? No, you're going to have to apologize. You're going to have to say, I'm sorry on some things. You're going to get some things wrong. You're going to miscalculate some steps here and there. Yeah. But the goal is to read that again.
Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world.
Y'all see that? These are the things that we're reading. We're going to understand and we're going to apply these things. It's important to do these things. And I promise you, if you listen to half of what we talk about, your life will improve, right? Change is always something that's going to happen. So get ready for that. But if you can't go through life and not apply these things, you're going to find yourself always lacking. You're going to find yourself a step behind, right? Go ahead and go to Romans 13:8. Did you have anything, sir?
No.
We got to remember that these things are very important, you guys, and we're going to try to bring these precepts out so that we can learn how to get ourselves where we need to be, to get to that perfection where we need to be. Go ahead.
Romans 13, verse 8. Oh, no man anything.
Oh, what?
No man anything.
Read.
But to love one another.
But to what?
To love one another.
See, a lot of times when we say love one another, it's not just being nice. No, it's dealing with them on a social level. It's helping them solve problems. It's showing up for them. Go ahead.
For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law.
And a lot of people think that, oh, just love. No, you fulfilling the law when you're visiting people in their afflictions, right? Just like we read in the book of James, chapter 1, just a second ago. When you're dealing with them in their afflictions or in their problems. Read on.
Verse 9, for this thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment.
If there be any what?
Any other commandment.
Go ahead.
It is briefly comprehended in this thing, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Do you realize how he don't commit adultery, don't fornicate, don't bear false witness? He's actually naming the commandments, right? And then he said, if there's anything else, it's briefly summed up in this, namely, love your. So he's teaching us how to love our neighbor. He's teaching us how to be a father to the fatherless. He's teaching us how to show up, right? When we need to show up for people. This is what it's teaching us. Go ahead.
Love work no ill to his neighbor.
So if you're not sure what to do, if you're not sure how to be with somebody, he says this is one of the guidelines. Love, the love that we're talking about is not working any ill will to your neighbor, meaning the brother of your people, the brethren of your people. Go ahead.
Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law.
That's how you fulfill the law. The brothers needed us to show up. We showed up. So sometimes young people are going to have questions. You be there to answer them with meekness and understanding. This is the work. That's the work. And this is how we have to look at things. This is how we have to make sure we do these things, right?
And also, going back into when my brother first pulled out in Corinthians, we doing those things. We're being all things to all men. But then one of the key things in that was he kept saying it. He said it in chapter 9 and he said in chapter 10 that I do this not for no gain of myself.
That's right.
Being there for someone else you should not be there for these young people or for your brother or your sister or for the widowless and the fatherless because you get something out of it.
Right.
You're doing it because that's what's right and that's what they need.
Exactly.
Right. This is what we selflessness. Thank you, brother. That's what we're supposed to be trying to be.
Yes, that's man, that is right and exact. But that's showing us that we have to learn how to develop that empathy, that compassion. And it's not, and I hate to tell y'all this, it's not something that all just comes natural. It's something that is developed. Once you start practicing it, you develop empathy, you develop compassion, you develop understanding. These things are developed. So that's why I say you will misstep, you will make mistakes here and there, but it's going to develop into that perfection that you're trying to get to. Watch this. I want you to go to Sirach chapter 25 and verse 11. Watch this.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 25, verse 11. But the love of the Lord passeth all things for illumination.
So the love of the Most High passes all things of illumination. This is how you're going to get to where you need to be. And remember, we talked about that love. We just talked about that love in Romans chapter 13, verse 8, 9, and 10. Right? Go ahead.
He that holdeth it, whereto shall he be likened?
So This is, if you're holding this love, if you're doing what's righteous, this is how you're going to be liked. Read on.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of his love.
The fear, when you have fear or respect to these laws and commandments, and you have respect to really what you're doing, looking well to your way or looking well to your goings, that's the beginning of you having that love, the beginning of your understanding, the beginning of your journey, the beginning of your perfection. Go ahead.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of his love, and faith is the beginning of cleaving unto him.
Wait. Faith is the beginning of what?
Is the beginning of cleaving unto him.
And see, this faith is a work. This faith is doing it. This faith here is an action word. Faith is beginning of doing the work, right? Did you read verse 12? Did you read verse 12?
That was all of it.
That was all of it. That's all I wanted then. He said, for the love of Yahweh is the beginning. I mean, for the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of love, and faith is the beginning of cleaving unto him. That faith is the beginning of cleaving unto the Father. That is a great thing. Go to you got anything?
Nope.
Go to Titus chapter 1 and verse 1. We're gonna get some more.
This is the book of Titus, chapter 1, verse 1.
Bring that out.
Paul, a servant of God and an apostle of Jesus Christ.
An apostle of who?
Jesus Christ.
Now watch
Yahweh Shai HaMashiach.
There you go.
According to the faith of God's elect, and acknowledging of the truth, which is after godliness.
What is the truth after?
Godliness.
He said the truth. When you start understanding the truth, that's why it's so elusive when he say truth. When Christ talked about truth, or when we read about truth in this Bible, it's unto godliness. It said acknowledging of the truth, which is after, meaning going towards godliness. That's the point for us to get. But watch this. Read the next verse.
Verse 2. In hope of eternal life, which God, that cannot lie, promised before the world began.
It says the hope of eternal life that cannot lie. So you have to start coming into getting yourself together. You got to start fighting against your flesh. If you have a propensity to bend the truth, you got to start coming out of that into your perfection, because he's telling you it can't lie, right? And these are the things we have to make sure we do. Watch this. Go to Sirach chapter 2 and verse 11. The book of Sirach chapter 2 and verse 11.
This is the book of Sirach chapter 2, verse 11.
Bring that out.
For the Lord is full of compassion.
He's full of what?
Full of compassion.
He's saying he's full of compassion because we have to be full of it. We got to develop that. Go ahead.
And mercy.
And what?
Mercy.
Read on.
Long suffering.
What?
Long suffering.
Read on.
And very pitiful. And forgiveth sins.
And what?
And forgiveth sins.
Read on.
And saveth in time of affliction.
So he's telling us that the Most High, if he's full of compassion and he's full of mercy, he's full of long suffering, and he's very pitiful, meaning he has great pity on us. These four things is what we have to develop. We have to develop, like it says right here, we have to develop to have more compassion. We have to develop to have mercy. We have to develop to have that long suffering in us. We have to develop to have pity, or to show that understanding to our brothers and sisters. These things do not come overnight. They do not just snap your fingers and it's there. It doesn't work like that. But I will tell you that it will come over time. It will develop in you if you practice it, if you want it. If you want it bad enough, it will come to you. You got anything, brother?
Nope.
Go to Colossians chapter 2 and verse 6. It will come.
Actually, I do. It's not a precept. I'm just gonna say so. Man, when y'all get a chance to, please, if you haven't already read this chapter, please read Sirach chapter 2. It really opens your eyes to a lot of things as you walk in this truth.
Yes, it does.
The first several verses are going into things that you're going to experience. You dealing with temptation, you dealing with, a lot of different things coming to the truth. But this particular verse that my brother's pulling out, verse 11, if you read the following verses, it goes further in to into what? Look what it goes into. Verse 12, 13, 14. I'm gonna say, man, I'm gonna say all the way up. I'm gonna say from 11 to 12 through 18 are going in, are giving you a further understanding of verse 11.
Yes,
because they literally go into things like compassion, mercy, long suffering, being pitiful, and forgiving.
That's right.
It goes into that. It gives you more understanding on that. So, by all means, if y'all get a chance to, y'all read the following verses after chapter 11.
Yes.
I mean, after verse 11.
Yes.
And you wanted me to get Colossians?
Yeah, chapter 2 and verse 6.
All praises. This is the book of Colossians, chapter 2, verse 6. As ye have therefore received Christ Jesus, Hamashiach, Yahushai, the Lord, so walk ye in him.
So we have to, once we receive the understanding, just like my brother was saying, once we get it, we got to walk in it, meaning do the works, do the actions, make sure we're doing those things that we're reading, applying those things, meaning being a doer, just like we're teaching people to be. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Rooted and built up in him.
Wait, doing you what?
Rooted and built up in him.
The only way to get rooted is when you read something and it confounds you or it makes you feel some type of way. You're getting rooted because you're remembering the stuff that you're reading. You're starting to apply the things that you're reading and the things that are important to you. Because if this book is important to you, you're gonna stay rooted up in it every day, right? And built up in it every day. Read on.
Colossians 2 and 7 from the top. Rooted and built up in him, established in the faith, as ye have been taught.
As you have been what?
Taught.
Read.
Abounding therein with thanksgiving.
So you're taught these things. Just like we said before, it doesn't happen overnight. You don't just wake up and you're magically there, but you're taught over time how to have these patience, how to develop these things that we're talking about, right? It's something that comes to you over time, and it will come if you really want it. Philippians chapter 3, verse 6.
This is the book of Philippians, chapter 3, verse 6.
Now watch this.
Concerning zeal.
Concerning what?
Concerning zeal.
See, if you got zeal, it's gonna come to you. We're trying to help people develop that zeal, right? Go ahead.
The word zeal means like passion or excitement, enthusiasm. Yes. So when you read the word, when you see it, he's saying concerning what? Passion or excitement. Or he's saying when you have this, right? What? Persecuting the church, touching the righteousness which is in the law, blameless.
This is Paul. He's really showing his zeal. He's showing that he's a Hebrew of Hebrews here. He's giving what's the word? He's giving you a quick study of who he is, right? And where we need to be. He's letting you know, I'm a Hebrew of Hebrews. I'm this, and concerning zeal, I'm this, and the third, right? Now watch this. Watch this. Read on.
Verse 7. But what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for Christ Hamashiach.
So even though he's built up, or he built himself up, he's telling you that he count those things as loss, because everything that we are, we have to put that into Christ. We have to put that into Mashiach Yahushua to learn from that and to be that, to learn how to be those things, right? Watch this.
Verse 8. Yea, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Hamashiach Yahushai, my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Christ.
So all the things that we covet, all the things that we hold close to us, all the things that are important to us, we have to count that dung. We have to put that to the side. For when we start getting this learning and getting this word and start studying and getting closer and becoming more like Christ, certain things that were important to us, it has to go. See, that's how you develop that compassion. That's how you develop that long suffering. That's how you develop like we read in chapter 11, that compassion, that long suffering, that mercy, that pity. That's how you develop it, by putting yourself in the shoes of Christ and starting to follow and listen to what he said. Right? Read on.
But what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for Hamashiach, Christ. Yea, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Hamashiach Yahushai, my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Hamashiach, Christ, and be found in him, not having my own righteousness.
Wait, not having my own what?
Not having mine
See,
own
we're doing
righteousness,
these things not to have our own righteousness because it's easy to develop your own righteousness. Read on.
which is of the law,
Read.
but that which is through the faith of Hamashiach, Christ, the righteousness which is of Yahweh by faith.
So we're trying to develop a new righteousness. We're trying to develop a new type of train of thought. We're trying to beat down that old person and come into this new perfection. That's where we're trying to get to. I was explaining these things to my wife last night. I said, I just want to do this work. I just want to please the Father. I want to start getting better. I want to learn from the things that I'm teaching. I don't want to just teach the things blindly and just spit out a bunch of words and just say some stuff and maybe inspire people here and there. I want to actually be getting and eating this milk too, eating this bread too. As I'm reading it, I want to learn it because I'm the one closest to it and teaching it. So I want to get it. I want this food too. Right. And this is how we have to be. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 6. We're going to get some more.
This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 6. Let no man deceive you with vain words.
With what?
Vain words.
Because it's easy to be deceived with vain words because you can just say stuff and it means nothing. Don't be deceived with vain words. Make sure that these words that we're reading really mean something. Read.
For because of these things cometh the wrath of God.
So because you don't listen, because somebody may have a good speech or somebody may have, or maybe even be reading out of the law, but you're not even taking heed to it. That's going to bring destruction to you. Go ahead.
For because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience.
The children of what?
Disobedience.
Those who don't want to keep the law. Those who don't want to even pay attention to the words that's on this paper. Go ahead.
Be ye not therefore partakers with them.
Don't be someone who listens to the word and then don't do it. Right? Don't be somebody who, what, man, that's good. And, oh, hallelujah. And that's great. And then you hear it and it sounds really good to your ears, right? But then when it comes time to apply these things, you just lost. You ain't gonna even apply it. But you'll clap or you'll say hallelujah or amen or whatever to a person saying the good words. That doesn't profit anything. That's why I mentioned, if y'all notice, that's why I share so many personal stories. I share so much personal stuff because I want to track the development of my walk. I want to make sure that I'm trying to apply these things that we're reading about because it's that important, right? Galatians chapter 5, verse 19. And this is a old school precept that we go to, but we have to understand what the fruits, how the flesh works. We have to understand how easy it is to get into the flesh, right? How many times have you taught a lesson, and then you teach something, and then you go home or go to work or you go somewhere, and then you're tested on the same thing,
that you just said,
you just taught.
It come right in front of
you. And if that's happened to me and you, guess how many more teachers that's happened to? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I'm gonna start at verse 13.
Yes, sir.
For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh.
Don't use liberty for an occasion to the flesh. Don't use the fact that we have grace for an occasion to the flesh. Go ahead.
But by love serve one another.
So by love, by just having that straight love for each other, serve one another. Go ahead.
For all the law is fulfilled in one word.
For all the law is fulfilled in one word. What's that word? Go ahead.
Even in this.
Even in what?
Even in this.
Read on.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
So we're supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves. We're supposed to, these things that we're talking about, showing up for your brothers and sisters, being a father to the fatherless, start giving compliments and working with people when they need it. These things are very important. Go ahead.
Verse 15. But if ye bite and devour one another, take heed that ye be not consumed one of another.
So if you bite and devour, if you talking crazy about each other, if you're not even trying to have that courtesy, that compassion, that long suffering, right? That pity for each other, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Now watch this. I want you to jump, and I want you to jump to verse 19.
Galatians 5, verse 19.
Oh, wait. Did I get it right? No, I didn't. I want you to read verse 16.
Read on.
Yeah.
Galatians 5, verse 16. This I say then, walk in the spirit, And ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh.
If you walk in the spirit, you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. You won't have the propensity to do the carnal thing or to do the natural thing. Go ahead.
For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would.
And all it's telling you that the spirit is the words in this book. And the way that these words are telling us to go is not the way we're naturally going to want to go. We're going to want to, our flesh is going to want to take control, and we're going to want to do the things that we want to do. Right? Go ahead. Oh, matter of fact, jump to 19.
Verse 19. Galatians chapter 5, verse 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these.
So the works of the flesh are going to be manifest to you. It's going to show you all the things that the flesh do. Go ahead.
Adultery.
What?
Adultery.
Read on.
Fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness,
like sexual lewd behavior. Go ahead.
Idolatry,
which is a big one. Idolatry is a big one. You can fall off into idolatry very easily. Go ahead.
Witchcraft.
What?
Witchcraft.
Read on.
Hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh.
Today, and I don't beef with nobody on Facebook or on social media. I jumped on my page today, and the first thing that jumped out to me, somebody was, because I did a class and I said something about birthdays, right? And the first thing somebody jumped into my, he wasn't in my DM, but it came on my timeline, and he was saying how that people that tell people that they shouldn't celebrate their birthdays are Pharisees, blah, 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 this, that, and the third, and y'all are being this and y'all are being that. And he jumped in there with a bunch of scriptures to prove what he said. And I basically just blocked him, because my thing is, these are a lot of things here. And when it says idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, right? Emulation, these things we have to make sure that we're not doing so we can get the kingdom. If you're a person that want to do those things and want to keep the customs of the heathen, you do that. But me personally, I know I have to keep checking myself. And getting to the kingdom is not going to be the easy job that Christianity taught you that it would be. Okay? It's just not going to be an easy job. So you have to constantly watch yourself, just like it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 20. It says, let a man examine himself. You got to keep examining yourself. And if that's something that you think you're good with, or it's not a situation for you, fine. It's a situation for me. And that's what I'm going to continue to teach, and I'm going to do. And I'm going to exhort my brothers and sisters to live righteously, honestly, in this present world, right? So that's what we're going to keep doing. That's all I wanted on that. That's all did you have something?
Yeah, just real quick, go back to Galatians chapter 5, and we're going to start at verse 13.
Gotcha. Galatians chapter 5 and verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty.
Grace, go ahead.
Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh.
So only don't use this grace just for you to be who you were before. Say that, right? You want to use this to get right with the Most High. You want to use this to be a good and faithful servant.
That's
you
right.
want to use this as grace as an opportunity to become a son in whom he's well pleased. The scriptures say that we're supposed to be a nation of kings and priests. We're supposed to be what? Ambassadors, examples, lights, right? So we're supposed to be using this liberty or this grace as an opportunity to be such. So don't use it for the flesh, read.
But by love, serve one another.
Wait, by what?
By love, serve one another.
So do you have Sirach chapter 4, verse 10?
No, I got Sirach 4 and 28.
Okay, all praises. Can you give me Sirach 4 and 10?
Yes, sir.
Because my brother's lesson is we supposed to be fathers to the fatherless, right? So let's jump right on that real quick.
Woo! This is the book of Sirach, chapter 4 and verse 10. You writing exam, man. You in the spirit. Chapter 4 and verse 10. Be as a father unto the fatherless.
So this is you using your liberty as an opportunity to, if you read further, it says, but by love, serve one another. So by love, be a father to the fatherless.
That's right.
Read on. Be a father to the fatherless before we what? Read.
And instead of a husband unto their mother.
So when you find that single parent mom and you see her and she looking good, you're like, damn, she bad.
Yep.
And then you pull up on her, you start talking to her, and then you see all the kids in the back. Instead of you having it in your mind, like we all did, fellas, don't act like y'all didn't.
Yep.
You had it in your mind. Okay, well, we're gonna drop these kids off, and me and you, little mama, we gonna go, right? We gonna do. You already see it in your mind what you plan to do with her, right?
Yep.
But the scripture started from the top, but the scripture say, do what?
Verse 10. This is chapter 4 and verse 10 of the book of Sirach. Be as a father unto the fatherless.
You know what that means? That means taking the time out to talk to her son and being like, no, don't do that. That's you hustling backwards like that, little bro.
That's right.
You know what, little mama, you ain't got to do that. If he can't accept you for who you are right now, then he ain't worthy of you. Being that example, being that, look, what we start off saying, being there.
That's
just
right.
being there.
Yep.
Just being there. But no, don't just be there so that way, you can get with moms. No, be there, be present.
That's right.
Be you, be present. You know what? No, he ain't got to be your son, but that could be your little dude though. That's right. My guy. You know what I'm saying? She ain't got to be your daughter, but you know what? She a good girl, and she need a little bit of this there. She need a little bit of this seasoning in her life to make this pizza complete.
Yep.
Right. And so it's be that. Read.
And instead of a husband unto their mother.
So instead of taking moms down, right? Be the father to them children. Read.
So shalt thou be as the son of the Most High.
Wait. So if you be a father to the fathers, you'll be as a son to the Most High. Man, I got so much love for my stepfather. I love the name of this lesson, brother, because I was saying he just passed recently, and I've been sending him this precept from the time I found it 20 years ago.
Wow.
I just send it to him.
Wow.
And I tell him thank you for who he's been to me.
Wow.
Right? Because he loved me and my mom.
Wow.
And my sister. And he was a father to the fatherless. Right? Go ahead, read.
And he shall love thee more than thy mother does.
See that?
Wow.
So when you become that man,
wow,
the father love you more than your mom do. And I don't know about y'all, how close y'all are with y'all mom, but for somebody to love me more than my mother loves me,
that's powerful.
That's powerful. That's amazing. Powerful. Guess what? That's inspiring powerful and motivating to be a father to the fatherless first.
Man,
let me get one more precept. Go to Psalms. I believe it's go to Psalm 68.
Bro, I'm gonna read that again, bro, because that right there, what my brother just brought out, that's very, very powerful. And I've read it before, but when stop playing with me.
Let's go to Psalm 68.
Golly.
And we're gonna go to verse 5.
That is powerful. That is powerful. This is Psalms chapter 68, and this is verse 5. A father of the fatherless.
So when the Most High said we're supposed to be his ambassador, his representative, we supposed to be what? Read it.
A father of the fatherless.
Read on.
And a judge of the widow.
Ain't that what you pulled out earlier?
Yep.
This is the Most High is not giving it to us just over here in James. No, he gonna hit you with this throughout the book.
That's right.
This part of the law.
That's right.
Read.
Is Yahweh in his holy habitation.
Read on.
Verse 6. Yahweh sitteth the solitary in family.
In what?
In family.
So this is what you bring when you become a father to the fatherless.
That's right.
You bring that solitude. This is what we're supposed to do. This is our job as the men in this nation.
That's right.
Read.
He bringeth out those things, those which are bound with chains.
So he bring us out that are bound with chains. What's the chains we put under? Biggie said, either you slinging crock rock or you got a wicked jump shot. That's a chain around our mind. That guess right. What? That the men in this truth, we supposed to be breaking them chains off our youth mind every day.
That's right.
Every day we supposed to be showing them like, no, you ain't got to be an athlete. You ain't got to be a D-boy. There's plenty of us that are doctors, that are lawyers. Hey, it's plenty of us that are blue-collar workers. It's plenty of us that are this or that. You ain't got to go that route.
That's right.
break them chains off our people mind, right? Read.
But the rebellious dwell in a dry land.
They dwell in that dry land. You know what that is? They don't have no Christ. Christ said he is that
That's
what?
right.
That
He
is that water,
He
right?
that water.
And so we dwell in that dry land. We don't see no other way out. We don't have no understanding. We go to school, get degrees, and still be working the same job we had when we didn't have a degree.
Man. Yep.
We dwelling in that dry land because we don't have no Christ. Go ahead. That's all I want to
Man, look, that right there, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna straight read that in Sirach chapter 4, verse 10, because that is an excellent precept. I love the way that my brother brought out Isaiah 68 and verse 5 and 6, man. That's what we need. We need to be a father to the fatherless, and the Father has the words here to teach us how to be a father to those that don't have that, right? And it doesn't mean that you don't have a daddy. This is not what that's going into. It's that if you know, everybody, most people know their fathers, but we still do need their guidance. This has nothing to do with you not having a good father. This has everything to do with what my brother just brought out, right? That his stepdad was there for him, and he appreciated that. Man, that's powerful, man. That is powerful. Watch this. I want you to go to Romans chapter 14 and verse 12. But that's where we got to be with this thing, yo. That's where we have to be with this. That's where we have to make sure that we are in right standings with this thing. Go ahead.
The book of Romans chapter 14, verse 12. So then every one of us shall give account of himself to Yahweh.
So we got the reason why we're going through this, because we all gonna give account of ourselves to the Most High. We're gonna give account. And when you make that pledge to be a father to the fatherless, that's putting a notch on your belt. That's putting a crown. That's putting your crown in the sky. You put more jewels to your crown, right?
You put more jewels.
You put more jewels on your crown, man. Watch this. Read on.
Verse 13. Let us not therefore judge one another anymore, but judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way.
So don't put a stumbling block in the way of your brother when they're trying to get somewhere. Sometimes their understanding may be off. You may not be on the same page, but don't be a stumbling block to your brother. We want to be a help to judge the fathers. We don't want to be a stumbling block. We want to make sure we're out of the way of being a stumbling block to be an example. Rather than being a stumbling block, be that example. Read on.
Verse 14. I know and am persuaded by Yahushua HaMashiach that there is nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteemeth anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean.
And this is what in this scripture they were talking about meats, but also that meat could be a situation. That meat could be something that a person doesn't agree with. To something unclean to a person, that's unclean to them. Even if it's not unclean, we have to have that compassion, right? Somebody close to me not too long ago thought that something was unclean or a situation was unjust, and I was like, "Well, no, you tripping. That's not that. It's not that. It's this." But to that person, in that person's mind at the time, they were thinking it was what it was. And I didn't have the compassion to see that in that situation, right? Because that was unclean to that person. Now watch this. Read the next verse.
Verse 15. But if thy brother be grieved with thy meat, now walkest thou not in charitably. Destroy not him with thy meat, for whom Christ died.
So he said, don't destroy him with your meat. If y'all thinking differently, right? If two people are thinking differently, or have different opinions on this and that, have compassion to see where that other person is coming from, right? Have compassion to see what's going on with that person. And I will admit to you, brother, there was a time where I didn't see that. I didn't see compassion for a certain brother's situation, but now I see it. I understand it, right? I have a very, very good understanding of how to be compassionate, even if I disagree, right? I'm gonna show you something that Christ said about meat and about why we even went to this scripture. Go to John chapter 4, verse 31. Because meat ain't always something that you can put in your mouth and chew on and swallow. No, that's not what he's talking about. You have to be able to see better than that.
This is the book of John, chapter 4, verse 31.
Watch this.
In the meanwhile, his disciples prayed him, saying, Master, eat.
He said, Master, eat. Watch this. Read.
But he said unto them, I have meat to eat that ye know not of.
He said, I got some meat to eat, but you don't know about this meat that I'm about to eat. Read on.
Therefore said his disciples one to another, hath any man brought him aught to eat? Yahushua said unto them, my meat is to do the will of him.
Wait, my meat is to what?
My meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work.
You see that? Sometimes our meat is to just have compassion. Sometimes our meat is to have understanding. Sometimes our meat is to pay attention to a situation when we don't think that it's important to us. Sometimes our meat is just to wake the hell up and to understand that if you just be compassionate, if you just be patient, the situation will reveal itself and you won't lose patience. Sometimes your meat is to do that. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes that meat it's more than just chewing and swallowing. That meat can be a situation that you need to be very, very careful of, right? That's all I wanted on that. 34. Yeah, that's all. Because he said, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. That's that meat.
You know what the work is, according to this lesson? For us to go look after the fatherless and the widow, like my brother pulled out earlier. The whole premise of this lesson is being a father to the fatherless. Our job, it does not mean you got to go be their dad.
That's right.
It does mean that we need to be there for our youth. Guess what?
That's right.
You don't always got to be the youth. It can be your brother.
That's right.
That love and that responsibility can go parallel. It don't got to go down.
Say that. Say that. Go to Matthew chapter 5, verse 1.
That's the book of Matthew, chapter 5. You said verse 1?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Matthew chapter 5, verse 1. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came unto him.
He said, this is Christ going into the mountain. Now, I'm going to show you how he was teaching. I'm going to show you how powerful these precepts are and how we should keep going over them over and over again, because he put so much honey in these things. When he was set, it says he came unto them. Read.
He came unto him. His disciples came unto him, and he opened his mouth. He opened his mouth and taught them, saying.
So he opened his mouth, then he started teaching them. And when he taught them, this is very important that y'all get this understanding to this next precept. Now read it.
Matthew 5, verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit.
He said, blessed are the poor in spirit. Why?
For theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
When you're poor in spirit, he's not saying poor like a poor person. When you're poor, you're paying attention to everything around you. You're not jumping to no conclusions. You're a very poor, meek. It's just another word to say humble, but watch this. Read on.
Verse 4. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted.
Because once you pay attention, you're gonna have sadness, because you're gonna see everything, all the afflictions that your brothers are going through. And it is gonna make you sad. You are gonna mourn. If you're doing this thing correctly, you're gonna see some sadness. The Bible says with much knowledge comes much what? With much wisdom comes much what?
Sorrow.
It comes much sorrow.
Pain,
it's going to be painful.
Depression.
You're going to get depressed.
It's going to be all
once you see through the eyes or through the lenses that the Father really wants you to see this world through, you are going to have pain and sadness. It is going to be a situation for you. But watch this. Read on.
Blessed are the meek.
Or the who?
Are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
He's telling you, blessed are those who are humble. They're going to inherit the earth. Those who have slowed down and listened to what's going on and saw what's going on, and it hurts them to see what's going on. Those are the ones that's going to inherit the earth. Those that listen and apply it. Go ahead.
Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled.
So those who really, really want to learn, who really, really want the understanding, who really, really have a propensity to want to learn what the Father wants them to do, those are the ones that's going to get filled. That's where we're trying to get to. Read on.
Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy.
For they shall what?
Obtain mercy.
See, when you have the compassion to go to help out your brothers, when you have the compassion to understand what your the step kids might be going through. You can say, well, it ain't got nothing to do with me. No, it should have something to do with you. Everything that's going on should be, you should care about him or her in every situation, right? Watch this. Read on.
Blessed are the pure in heart, for
Blessed
they
are the who?
are the pure in heart.
So you got to have a purity of heart to just genuinely care about another person's feelings. You got to be pure in that. Go ahead.
Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God.
For they shall what?
For they shall see God.
See, that's the only way you're going to see Yahweh. If you're pure in heart. If you're, watch this. Another word for the pure in heart, blessed are the sincere. You see that? Blessed are those that are sincere in heart, sincere in their actions. That's the way to be pure in heart, pure in mind. Read.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God.
No, blessed are the troublemakers.
Are the peacemakers.
No, blessed are the brawlers.
Are the peacemakers.
See, you got to have a propensity to want to make peace. You have to want peace for you to have peace. You got to seek peace. You got to crave peace in order to have it. Read.
Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for there is the kingdom of heaven.
That's if we're persecuted because we're being righteous, that's where you want to be. If you're doing something right, and you'll know if you're doing it right or wrong, but that's where you want to be. And sometimes you will get persecuted for doing the right thing. It will happen. But I'd rather be persecuted for doing the right thing than persecuted for making a mistake. Y'all see that? I'd rather be persecuted for doing what's righteous than persecuted for doing something I know that was wrong. Y'all understand? Last precept. Well, you know what? Yo, you got something? Sirach chapter 28 and verse, you're going to read from 28, verses 28 to 31, book of Sirach chapter 4.
Sirach chapter 4, starting at verse 28. Strive for the truth unto death.
Do what?
Strive for the truth unto death.
See, we got to strive for these laws until we die. You're going to be doing this. That's why it's very important for you to get this understanding, because you're going to strive for this, and you're going to be learning to come into your perfection until you're dead. So you might as well start now. Read.
Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee.
So he said, who gonna fight for me?
The Lord shall fight for thee.
Once you start striving, the Father is gonna fight for you. He's going to fight for you. Read on.
Verse 29. Be not hasty in thy tongue.
Be not what?
Hasty in thy tongue.
Hold your tongue. Start choosing your words more carefully. Make sure that you have a hold on your tongue. Remember, it talked about that in the book of James, chapter 1, what we read a while ago. It tells you not to be hasty in your tongue. Why do you think it's telling you how to control what you say? Because that is the first thing that'll mess up things in your life. The stuff that you say, the stuff that come out of your mouth can mess up things. And you may mean it for good, but if you say the wrong things, it'll mess up everything that you build, right? Go ahead. Read that from the top.
This is Sirach chapter 4, verse 29. Oh, from 28, excuse me. Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. Be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss.
See, you won't slack in your deeds, and you won't miss out on what you're on the blessings that you are supposed to get, because you wasn't hasty in your speech. You wasn't hasty with your tongue. You see that? We have to learn how to be a father to the fatherless, and we have to learn how to develop that compassion, how that pity, how that love, how that brotherly love. Those are the things that we're going to get back. And that's why we're reading these scriptures today. Right? And that's all I got. You got anything, brother?
Can we go to Job 29 real quick?
Absolutely.
This is kind of how, like, when you being a father to the fatherless, just keep this precept in your mind. We already read Sirach chapter 4, verse 10 and Psalm 68. And so just put this in your mind too. Job 29 and start at verse 12.
This is Job chapter 29 and verse 12. It says, because I delivered the poor that cried,
read,
and the fatherless, and him that had none to help him.
Because when you're the fatherless, you don't have nobody.
That's right.
The daughter who is dealing with daddy issues, she don't have nobody.
That's right.
The son who don't have guidance or direction, he don't know how to be a man. And guess what? As good as mom is, mom don't know how to tell him how to talk to girls.
That's right.
Mom don't know how to tell him like that ain't even worth fighting for, son.
Right.
But it take a man to show him like, nah, you gonna fight over that. I wish somebody was there for some of my fights.
Right.
To tell me that, right? Read on.
Verse 13.
Uh-huh.
This is Job chapter 29 and verse 13.
Uh-huh.
And it reads, the blessing of him that was ready to perish.
Wait, he was ready to what?
That was ready to perish.
He was just ready to suffer. He was like, I don't care. I give up. I'm ready to perish. Because it ain't getting no better. I don't have nobody to help me. So you know what? This what is going thugging it is what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna deal with it. Read.
Came upon me.
So the blessing of him that was ready to perish, it came on me. You know why it came on me? Go back to the previous verse to tell you why. Read it.
Oh, 12.
Yeah.
Verse 12. Because I delivered the poor that cried.
That's why that blessing on me. Read.
And the fatherless.
I delivered the poor and the fatherless. Read.
And him that had none.
And him that don't have nobody to help him. Right? That's why that blessing came on me. Read.
Verse 13. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me.
Read.
And I caused the widow.
So wait, that woman who don't have no man in her life, but she got those kids, right? I caused the widow what?
Heart.
I caused her heart to what?
To sing.
To sing what?
For joy.
For joy, because man, all praises for that brother Shi'yah for showing up for them young men. All praises for that brother over there or that sister over there. All praises for sis people for doing the sewing class. All praises for that kind of stuff, man. Because this is what we need in our community because we lack that.
Yes.
We need people to be not just fathers, y'all, mothers too.
That's right.
We need those spiritual parents.
We need everybody.
We need them spiritual older siblings.
That's right.
We need that, right? Why? So that the widow's heart can sing for joy. So that the fatherless and the person who don't have nobody can, so he can now have that guidance, that direction, that protection, that correction, right? These are the things we need to be fathers to the fathers. Y'all keep them precepts in your mind, man.
That's right.
So that way, when you deal with somebody that's not yours, when you dealing with that, when you find that sister and she got children, that you'll keep it in your mind. Let me be a father to the fatherless before I be a husband to this woman. You know, let me deliver the people who the fatherless and him that don't have nobody, so that way this widow could sing with joy. So that way what the scripture say, so that the father could love you more than your mother.
Man, woo! Chapter 4, verse 10.
Sirach, man,
that's a hammer.
That's all I had.
That's a hammer. And I want to thank. I want to also thank my wife for pushing me and helping me and being a wonderful helpmeet to me for this work. If you guys don't believe it takes two of y'all to do it, it takes everybody working in conjunction with each other to make these things work. If y'all don't think these things have to be in conjunction with each other, y'all are wrong. We have to all be in unison together. And it makes it so much easier to function when you have a household of people that are working together. And I just want to thank everybody that is in my household for that. Thank y'all so much. And that's all I got. That's it. And with that, we say shalom. Shalom, family. Shalom, Israel. Love y'all.